Most men misunderstand money long before they ever earn any. They are taught to see wealth as the final answer to a difficult life. They imagine that a larger income will quiet the mind, remove insecurity, command respect, and repair the private frustrations they carry through adulthood. In youth, this belief feels natural. A man who has struggled with limitation often assumes that abundance must be the opposite of suffering. If scarcity has hurt him, then wealth must surely heal him. Yet life rarely works in such a clean and symmetrical way. Money can improve conditions, but it does not automatically improve the man living inside those conditions. It can make life easier, but it cannot make a confused man clear, a weak man disciplined, or an anxious man peaceful. More often, money magnifies the internal state of the person who receives it. If a man is reckless, wealth gives him a larger arena in which to be reckless. If he is insecure, wealth gives him more expensive ways to display insecurity. If he lacks direction, wealth merely allows him to wander in greater comfort. For this reason, many men spend years chasing what they believe is freedom, only to discover they have been pursuing an instrument rather than a foundation. The deeper question is not how a man acquires money, but what kind of man acquires it. This distinction matters because character determines whether wealth becomes a servant or a master. A disciplined man can use money to buy time, create options, protect his family, and support meaningful work. An undisciplined man often uses money to intensify appetites that were already controlling him. The same resource produces entirely different lives depending on the structure of the person holding it. Most young men are never told this. They are told to hustle, to win, to accumulate, to outpace others. They are rarely told that inner disorder can sabotage outer success more effectively than any enemy. As a result, many grow obsessed with income while neglecting temperament, judgment, patience, and emotional control. They polish the vehicle while ignoring the engine. The world then offers them a painful education. A man under financial pressure is vulnerable to illusion. He begins to believe speed matters more than direction. He becomes susceptible to schemes, shallow status symbols, and desperate decisions dressed as opportunity. Because he feels behind, he tries to recover through urgency. Yet urgency often creates the very losses he fears. He enters partnerships he does not trust, purchases things he cannot afford, accepts work beneath his standards, or abandons long-term plans for short-term relief. In many cases, poverty does not damage a man as deeply as panic does. Panic narrows perception. It reduces the future to the next bill, the next payment, the next month. A man in this state may work constantly and still remain trapped, because his energy is consumed by reaction rather than construction. He solves emergencies but builds nothing durable. He moves but does not advance. This is why composure is an underrated economic advantage. A calm man is not necessarily a passive man. Calmness, in its mature form, is the ability to remain clear while pressure rises. It allows a man to evaluate reality without exaggeration. It enables him to distinguish temporary discomfort from genuine disaster. It gives him the patience to reject foolish offers and the steadiness to continue useful work while results are still invisible. Many fortunes are not built by brilliance alone, but by men who could remain stable longer than others. Stability allows repetition. Repetition allows skill. Skill creates value. Value over time is usually compensated. This process sounds simple, yet it is difficult precisely because it lacks drama. Human beings are drawn to spectacle. They prefer stories of sudden success, overnight wealth, and dramatic reversals. But the architecture of most lasting success is plain. It consists of years of competent work, wise restraint, increasing reputation, and a refusal to abandon fundamentals when boredom arrives. There is another misunderstanding that keeps men financially immature: the belief that labor and wealth are identical. Work matters. Honest labor builds character and competence. But labor alone does not always create freedom. A man who permanently exchanges hours for income may survive respectably, yet remain dependent on uninterrupted effort. If he stops, the machine stops. If he becomes ill, exhausted, or replaced, income may vanish with alarming speed. At some point, a thoughtful man begins asking a better question. Instead of asking how much he can earn this week, he asks what he can build that retains value beyond today. This is the beginning of leverage. Leverage can take many forms. It may be a business system that functions without constant supervision. It may be a reputation that attracts opportunities before he asks for them. It may be a skill rare enough to command high compensation. It may be intellectual property, an audience, investments, or a body of work that continues to serve others after the original effort is complete. Such assets are powerful because they separate value creation from immediate physical presence. This transition from labor alone to labor plus leverage often marks the moment a man's relationship with money becomes more intelligent. He no longer thinks only in terms of effort. He begins thinking in terms of systems, durability, and scale. Yet even leverage cannot rescue a hollow man. One of the quiet tragedies of adulthood is seeing successful men who remain inwardly impoverished. They possess comforts but not peace. They command attention but not respect. They own luxuries but cannot tolerate solitude. Their schedules are full, yet their inner life is barren. They have purchased many experiences but developed little depth. This occurs because money can organize the external world while leaving the internal world untouched. No amount of income can substitute for self-respect. No purchase can replace integrity. No status symbol can calm a conscience that knows a man has betrayed his own standards. These matters belong to a different economy altogether. A serious man eventually learns that private order precedes public power. He learns to keep promises to himself. He learns to delay gratification when impulse would be easier. He learns to regulate appetite, because appetite without discipline can consume every raise, every opportunity, and every victory. He learns to tolerate seasons where effort is not yet rewarded. He learns to continue without applause. These lessons rarely feel glamorous while they are being learned. They often feel lonely, repetitive, and invisible. Yet they create something far more valuable than appearances: inner architecture. Inner architecture is what remains when circumstances change. If money disappears, it determines whether a man collapses or rebuilds. If success arrives, it determines whether he becomes arrogant or responsible. If hardship strikes, it determines whether he becomes bitter or sharper. External conditions test structure. They do not create it. This is why some men recover from losses that would destroy others. They have built capacities that survive outcomes. They know how to think, adapt, endure, and begin again. Their confidence is not borrowed from numbers in an account. It is rooted in competence. Such men are difficult to threaten. They may dislike losing money, but they do not confuse loss with identity. They may prefer comfort, but they are not softened by hardship. They may value success, but they do not worship it. Because they are not enslaved by wealth, they can use it more wisely than men who idolize it. There is a deeper truth here worth noticing. The man who chases money too intensely often repels the very judgment required to earn and keep it. Desperation distorts standards. Vanity inflates spending. Envy corrupts priorities. Fear causes hesitation. Greed blinds caution. Meanwhile, the man who concentrates on becoming useful, reliable, disciplined, and clear-minded often becomes financially attractive as a side effect. Employers trust him. Clients return to him. Partners seek him. Opportunities multiply around steadiness because steadiness is scarce. In this sense, wealth is often less a prize than a response. It responds to value. It responds to consistency. It responds to trustworthiness. It responds to competence delivered repeatedly over time. It may not respond immediately, and it does not always respond fairly in the short run. But across long stretches of life, these qualities tend to accumulate consequences in their favor. A mature man, therefore, approaches money with respect, but not reverence. He understands its usefulness. He knows poverty can be harsh and dependency humiliating. He does not romanticize struggle. But neither does he imagine that numbers alone can redeem a neglected life. He seeks financial strength not to impress strangers, but to create dignity, freedom, generosity, and margin for those he loves. Most importantly, he understands sequence. He does not wait for wealth to become disciplined. He becomes disciplined first. He does not wait for success to become calm. He becomes calm first. He does not wait for status to respect himself. He respects himself first. Then, if wealth arrives, it enters a house already in order. And if it leaves a man capable of building again.